Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you also are doing. And isn't it interesting that when Paul completes topics of this nature, he always gives words of comfort? That's how he completed his thoughts in the prior chapter. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. So if your mind is propelled as a Christian into fear and anxiety on account of these things, then you need to restudy these things. Because these things are given to be a reality check for the Christian, but the whole thing is designed as a comfort for the Christian. Now, I don't know about you, but if that second view is true, I'm not very comforted, because I have to go through 50% of it. If that third view from the top is true, then I'm not comforted because I got to go through all of it. If that final view at the bottom is true, then I'm not comforted either because I've got to go through 3/4 of it. So the point I'm getting at is when you start in 1 Thessalonians 4 and you read consistently, taking into account that the chapter division is artificial, although there is a change of subject going on. To me, the whole chronology is laid out beautifully for pre-tribulationalism, which is the idea that the church will be taken to heaven before the tribulation even starts. How could the church be in it at all when it's the wrath of God and we're not appointed to wrath? How could the church be in it at all when it's a time of darkness that's going to overtake unbelievers and we're children of light? So I think what seals the deal for me on something like this is to just pay attention to the pronouns. Paul uses frequently the first person, I or we or us. He uses the second person, you, and sometimes the you is plural. So if I was coming up with a Texas translation of the Bible, it would say y'all. It would go you, y'all. Maybe we'll come up with something like that one day. And he doesn't use third person, they, those, them, others, until he gets to the part where he's talking about the world being swept off guard as a woman in child labor being overtaken as a thief in the night. Now, look at this very carefully. 1 Thessalonians 4:13-18. But we do not want you to be uninformed, so that you will not grieve. For if we believe that Christ died, verse 15, for this we say to you by the word of the Lord, we who are alive and remain. Verse 17, 1 Thessalonians 4, then we who are alive. And so we shall always be with the Lord. And he keeps talking like this, moving into the next chapter, the first couple of verses. Now as to the times and the epochs, brethren, you have no need of anything to be written to you, for you yourselves. Then he gets to that tough stuff in verse 3 about peace and safety, coming as a thief in the night, and I'll come back to that in just a second. But once he gets past that verse, what does he go back to in verse 4? You, brethren, are not in darkness. This day will not overtake you like a thief in the night. For you are all sons of the light. We are not of the night nor of the darkness. And he keeps going like that through the 5 points of application that we just made. Let us not sleep. Let us be alert. But since we are of the day, let us be sober. God has not destined us for wrath, who died for us, so that we will live together, just as you are doing. You see how he keeps using first person, second person, sometimes singular, sometimes plural, over and over again. But did you see what he did there in verse 3? Verse 3 is the world saying peace and safety, labor pains that can't be stopped. There's no way you'll get out of it. They will not escape. Do you see how he just switched the pronoun there in verse 3? He's used first person and second person in verses 1 and 2, not to mention the prior chapter. And in verses 4 through 11, all first person and second person. And then when he got to verse 3, he just did a switcheroo. While they, now he's not saying we, us, you anymore. While they are saying peace and safety, then destruction will come upon them, third person, suddenly, like labor pains upon a woman caught with a child, and they will not escape. And when he alludes back to that verse, that's what he keeps doing. So then let us, verse 6, not sleep as others. Who would those others be? That would be the they or the them that are plunged into this time period. For those who are asleep, who are the those? That's the they that are plunged into this time period, not you.